I think one thing I would tell myself to the week one version of myself for this course is to not necessarily worry too much about the literature involved. Um, I think for most of my courses leading up to this course, um, my main concern was always finding the appropriate literature and how to join those conversations and how to make those conversations connect to one another. Um, I found this course quite different. I feel that 610 really focused on the structure. It focused more on the the experimental process of action research, and not so much of the literature involved in order to conduct the research. So that was a new experience for me, and um, it felt a little bit challenging to write I guess uh, the material for this course, mainly because of it being hypothetical. And I think that was my main concern throughout this course was how am I going to gather this data? Um, yeah, I guess if I were to reflect on week one, I would tell myself to already not worry too much about the literature. Although it does help with the understanding. Um, I now know it's not the basis for this course. I think going into my action research proposal, I had already kind of had the idea of going with the qualitative approach. I really just enjoyed how more personable that approach seemed after learning it from, I believe, 609. But as I kind of further dove into the more hypothetical part of this research, I guess the mixed methodology seemed a little more appropriate, mainly because I would be comparing one group of students who used traditional learning methods to another group of students who used the flipped classroom methods. And in doing so, I would compare the two groups of students to see just what the results were. And in doing so, I'd use the bar graph and just to give more of I guess a statistical perspective to see the difference between the two groups. Additionally, I'd also really like the idea of still using still using interviews, informal questionnaires, just to get an idea of where the students are in their thinking, how they feel. I'm big on being very personable with the people I interact with, so I feel that really just getting the insight of the students themselves is necessary throughout the experiment, just because students feel more comfortable with who they're working with, and I think in overall it provides more insight to how they feel about these kind of things. And I understand this is all hypothetical, but in kind of a real world aspect, that's the kind of research I'd like to provide. I think if I were to list two things that I really took away from this course and that would kind of really just change my perspective, especially on action research, one would be kind of what we covered in week two, kind of the process of action research. Going into this course, I had the idea of action research is a one-man show. I'm the person conducting it, in this case me, is responsible for the literature review, responsible for conducting the experiment, taking notes, just everything from start to finish. So it was a little more relieving to hear that this can be a team effort. Um, and even as far as the literature review, if you can get more teachers involved to review the literature, that's one less thing that you have to tackle on yourself. Um, and even just having another teacher of the same grade and subject, uh, in my case, use a different teaching methodology. If I was a 12th grade English teacher and I could work with another 12th grade English teacher, maybe one of us would spend a few weeks, doing the flipped classroom design, and the other would do the traditional teacher-centered methodology, which is, just the lecture, note-taking, and assessments. And I feel like that would really help as far as um, not making the experiment too lengthy. So it was great to know that this can be a team effort, and it doesn't hurt to ask. Another thing that I really took away from this course was, like I said earlier, I went into this course thinking that the literature involved is the most important aspect, and for the most part, that's what my other courses have felt like. But especially after seeing Jennifer's action research in week 7, it really gave me a better idea of the framework and how to be more prepared for action research. So yeah, the literature review, but also what's needed to conduct the research. So as far as materials or samples or just everything else in action research that is not just the literature review. So overall, I felt like this course really just helped me get a better understanding of everything else that's necessary to really just conduct the action research. But thank you again for an amazing 8 weeks. I feel like I learned a lot more about action research beyond just the literature involved. So thank you.